Good day, viewers. You are welcome to another wonderful edition of Earth Matters on Daily Insider TV. I remain your humble Earth host, Yusuf Yakub. Today, we'll be talking about one of the most common Earth issue out there. It is very common because of the high probability of contacting it. It is contacted through the drinks and foods we eat and drink all day. What is this issue? It is called typhoid. Typhoid is a bacteria-causing disease that is caused by bacteria called Salmonella typhi. This Salmonella typhi dwells in our drinking waters, in our foods, and so on and so forth. When a drink or food is contaminated with this Salmonella typhi, if a person should drink the water or the food or eat the food, such person will contact typhoid. Typhoid is very common because mostly every person eats each day, and mostly these foods and drinks we eat has been contaminated. Maybe the food is cooked from a dirty water, or maybe someone eats something that is not neat, or an expired foods or drinks. When you drink expired or foods that are not really neat, that are not well prepared, that have been contaminated with this Salmonella typhi, someone is at high risk of contacting typhoid. What are the symptoms of this typhoid disease? Typhoid, one of the most common symptoms of typhoid is fever. High temperature is the same thing as fever, which is also called pyrexia, as the terms used by doctor. Sometimes someone can have diarrhea when you stool more than 5 times or 4 times consecutively. Yeah, that's some symptoms of diarrhea. Sometimes headache or migraine. Migraine is having one part of the head aching, or sometimes full headache. These are symptoms of typhoid. Other symptoms of typhoid includes stomach ache. It includes weakness of the body. It includes loss of appetite. Sometimes constipation. But the most common symptoms of typhoid includes headache, fever, and diarrhea. Having known the symptoms of typhoid, what are the causes of typhoid? As I've said earlier, the cause of typhoid is this Salmonella typhimurium, which is a bacteria that dwells in our drinking waters, in our foods. When our foods and drinkings have been contaminated with this Salmonella typhi, someone who drinks or eats these foods or drinks this water may contact typhoid fever or typhoid disease. Having known that, how will you be diagnosed with typhoid? How can someone be correctly diagnosed with typhoid? When having these symptoms, a person should go to a doctor. The test for typhoid is called WIDA. Having done the test for typhoid, if someone is positive for typhoid, someone should be treated. And of course, one of the treatments given to a typhoid patient is using antibiotics and some other supplements. Aside from that, for someone to prevent typhoid, for someone to prevent himself or herself from contacting typhoid, one of the things you should do is neglecting unclean water, drinking unclean water. Make sure you drink carbonated or bottled water every day. And if you cannot, the water you want to drink must at least be boiled before drinking. And of course, make sure you desist from touching dirty surfaces all around. There are some times why we touch these dirty surfaces, there are some organisms that are glued with surfaces. Then when we touch these surfaces that have been glued with contaminated bacteria or so on and so forth, and you use this hand to eat or drink, you are at high risk of contacting typhoid fever. Also, you should make sure you eat a lot of fruits, drink fruits, eat fruits that are very special, very nutritious to our health, like oranges, like watermelons, like also cucumber, and some other effective foods out there. One of the things you can also do to prevent yourself from contacting malaria is keeping a healthy environment. Make sure your room is clean. Make sure your environment is clean. When you have grasses or good grasses or stubborn weeds in your environment, cut them early as possible for you to have a very healthy environment. And of course, your toilets and bathrooms should be clean at all time. because these are some dwellings for these bacteria and organisms. If your toilet is not cleaned, it is not very much cleaned at routine times, it can make these bacteria, which is Salmonella typhi, to dwell in them, and of course putting you at high risk of contracting typhoid, malaria. As that has been said, there are some complications of typhoid, which is why we should be very careful of our health, especially when it comes to drinking pure and clean water, or drinking or eating foods that are very healthy, like eating balanced diet. Of course, eating or taking foods, essential food, as I've said before, like oranges, watermelons, and so on and so forth. The complications of typhoid are very risky. This typhoid bacteria, when it enters our bloodstream, it goes to our intestine. When it comes to our intestine, it is there that it will stay for some time before it will now move into our bloodstream and spread into our body. When the typhoid fever, when the typhoid causing bacteria, which is called Salmonella typhi, gets into our intestine, it stays there for a long time. And sometimes, if this bacteria is not killed, or if it is not monitored or killed with bacteria or antibacteria quickly, it can damage the intestine, which is called intestinal perforation. It can make the intestine to have some hole. Sometimes, if it leads to this, the feces that should come out of the body, the defecations that are supposed to come out of the body, will enter our stomach. So, and this case, which is bowel perforation or intestinal perforation, sometimes needs surgery. Doctors will operate on that patient, cut the stomach and get to the intestine so as to close the perforated area of the intestine. There are some other complications of typhoid, which includes peritonitis and some others like that. So as to prevent ourselves from having these complications and other health complications resulting from typhoid fever, we should make sure we eat balanced diet. We desist from drinking and eating contaminated foods. And also, we should prevent ourselves from this typhoid fever by making sure we don't eat at street stops frequently. Sometimes many people eat at these streets. Sometimes they don't eat at home, they eat at streets. That's food vendors. Most food vendors don't cook with clean and carbonated water. So as for you to prevent yourself, make sure you reduce your intake of food vendors foods, and of course make sure you cook at home with healthy water, healthy foodstuffs, and so on and so forth. And when you want to cook, clean your hand and make sure you eat frequently as at when you. May God bless us with good health. May we be blessed for many other health tips, for many other gorgeous, enlightening, and insightful health tips. Follow us on Daily Insider pages. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, and many other platforms like that. May God bless us. Have a nice day. Bye.